Most people don't know this. He did was the finance man behind.
Judge Joe Brown was asked to give his thoughts on whether he thought Donald Trump was a racist. Check it out.
Is your take on Trump? Is Trump a racist?
I don't think so. I've talked to a number of black entrepreneurs who, back in the late 80s and 90s, were early 90s, were trying to get financing. They couldn't. Somebody told them to go check with Donald Trump. So they come back and tell me they got a loan from Donald Trump. He gave them a term loan. Show up with the interest and the principal, one check. But they had to go see him personally. They independently relate this tale that when they saw him, he said, "This what you supposed to pay me? This our agreement?" I said, "Yeah." And then tore the check up, shook their hands, and congratulations. Now run your business.
And this was when?
This was back in the 90s. See, most people don't even know this. He had a sister. He was, every time you saw him back in the 90s, fine paper bag, brown, beautiful black model. He likes fine women. He didn't have any problem with dating a black woman, walking her down red carpets. So, I mean, she says he's not a racist. He just doesn't like many people, black or white. And he appreciates people who do stuff within their lane. Well, not stay in their lane, but where they choose to be. If they do it well, he admires them. Black, white, brown, red, yellow. Most people don't know this. He did was the finance man behind Jesse Jackson's 2 runs for president.
Wow.
So, you know, he talks, but I don't mind somebody talking. I think we've gotten too sensitive to that. That's part of the effeminization of the country.
No, he shared a lot of information there that I wasn't familiar with. I didn't know he was the guy, the financer behind Jesse Jackson. I knew that he was very helpful to various individuals when it came down to helping them get their businesses up and running. I did know that. And I do remember when he was dating a black woman back in the day. But I think that even though he said he's made a lot of silly and dumb comments, some things that I just find ridiculous over the years, I think overall the dude has demonstrated his policies have been so beneficial and helpful overall to everyone, to all Americans. And I would say specifically black folks. His funding of the HBCUs, he lengthened the amount of time that they would get funded by the U.S. government without them having to constantly come back all the time and make pleas to receive additional funding. A lot of the business arrangements he set up in a lot of urban communities, the way the economy was booming pre-COVID, the number of African Americans who were employed and who were pursuing entrepreneurial pursuits was, I think, at its peak, the peak in our country's history. And I also think that a lot of the stuff that he said was taken out of context just to make him look bad, like the issues in Charlottesville. If you ever listen to what he actually said, not sound bites from the news media, but if you ever listen to his initial comments entirely, you'll find that the man had his perspective was not racist at all. He said there are good people on both sides. He was referring to the protesters, and he made it very clear that he wasn't talking about the white supremacists. And I had a friend of mine who actually was trying to challenge me on that and talking about the things that he said. And I said, "Did you ever listen to it?" And he said, "Yeah, I heard he tried to roll it back later." I said, I'm talking about the exact comments he made on that day. I said, "Did you ever listen to it?" He said, "No." And I said, and I quoted to him what he said. I said, if you watch it, you'll see that isn't what he said. Now, I'm not trying to co-sign for everything that man does. I don't stand with him 100%. He's very pro-gay marriage. As a Christian man, I can't support that. But I would say if I had to examine with everyone running right now, if I had to examine his policies in light of all that we see, his policies are probably some of the best. I would say they stand out. And he demonstrated his effectiveness. And if we can separate a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of the crazy talk, and he's a 70-some-odd-year-old man and New Yorker on top of that, billionaire. I basically believe that what you see is what you get. He probably ain't changing. I don't know. I question whether he's made a full profession of faith to be a Christian. I know he's made that claim, but I'm not sure if I see a ton of fruit there. But then again, I'm not in his everyday life. And Lord only knows how I was when I was a baby Christian. His profession could be real profession, but at the same time, I don't know. I wonder. A lot of times I wonder if I'm going to be real with you. So all we can do is continue to pray for the man, to pray if he has made one, that he is able to mature and grow in the fruits of the Spirit. And if he hasn't, that he would come to the reality that he is a sinner in the eyes of God. And he will have to stand before him and give an account for the life that he's lived, and his actions and his sins. Make sure you check out this video right here. I think you'll find it very helpful.